still a B-boy. From the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy. From the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed.
I met this man around 2001. Along with his partner in rhyme, Tracklacer, they were making noise on the Milwaukee underground hip hop scene. We started working together in 2002, and in 2003, both of us were in the supergroup 1848. For 20 years, I've been working with him. We've done countless shows, spent countless hours in the studio, and I consider him one of my hip hop brothers. Straight out of the Cream City, Phat Daddy BU.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? All right, it's good to be here with you, MC AK.
Yeah, I got a shout out right away to the Run DMC shirt. Though
Oh yeah,
I'm sporting DJ Quick, so we both got those.
we're representing both
Both coasts. Yeah, no doubt.
Yes.
All right, so I start every interview the same. Do you remember your first memory of hearing hip hop?
My very first memory that stood out. I would say the first song that stood out would be like Blondie. She had like a pop song where she did like a little rap on it.
Yeah.
I remember a comedian, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He had a little rap song called President's Rap. And that was like some of the first rapping that I heard like on record.
Mm-hmm.
But the song that caught my attention was Run DMC. I think it's called It's Like That, and that's the way it is. I can't
It's like that. It's
like
called
that.
It's Like That. Yep.
Yeah, so that was like the first like official hip hop song that I heard. And when I heard that, it was like I was like froze for a few minutes, and I was like, "What is that?" That was it for me right there.
Yeah, Run DMC is what got me too back in the 80s. You know, a lot of people in our generation, Run DMC affected so deeply and got us into hip hop.
Yes.
So do you remember the first time you went out and bought a record? Like you needed to have this record. You're a kid, you'll use your own money or you're asking your parents for it. Do you remember the one record you felt you had to have?
There was a lot of records at that time, but the one that I bought, I remember we did some housework and to earn some extra money, and there was a record store not too far from my house called Audio Vibe. At one time, Audio Vibe was like the center of music in Wisconsin. But the first record that I bought was a 45, and I think it was Heavy D and the Boys, Mr. Big Stuff. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think that's what it was. I think I bought Mr. Big Stuff, and my brother bought Jam on It.
Yeah, Jam on It.
So those were the first two records that me and my brother owned.
So at what point did you start thinking, you know, maybe I can write some rhymes? When did you decide to try to, you know, write your own rhymes or start rapping?
Let me think. I remember one time I used to live on Finn Place, like 24th and Finn in Milwaukee. And we were just in a circle and we were just passing the time, just rapping off the top of my head. And everybody else in the circle was able to get off like a couple of lines more than my two. So after that, I started like kind of trying to write rhymes. So next time we had that circle, I would be able to get more than 2 lines off. And then I had a cousin, her name was Tasha, and she used to rap. Right, I used to think she was writing her own raps, but what she was doing was taking a piece of Roxanne Shante, a piece of UTFO, a piece of LL Cool J, and then she would like mesh it all together and she would memorize it and she would spit these rhymes. And when she would say the rhymes, I was like, I heard it before, but I couldn't
Place
put a
it.
pinpoint exactly where the source was because she kind of mixed it up a little bit.
Right.
And then I was like, well, she got like a tight rhyme. So I went home and started like trying to write rhymes. So between being on the block with my friends and my cousin Tasha plagiarizing other people's rhymes, that was my influence to start writing raps.
You know, she's not the only one. I think one of the, not the very first, but one of the first rhymes I wrote, I was stealing bars from King T's The Coolest because I thought he had
Okay.
a bunch of dope punchlines. So
Okay.
we all were doing that. Well, at least her and I were.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did it a little bit too, and I think I was trying to be like the next Big Daddy Kane, and I wanted my rhymes to be so deep and complex like
Right.
Big Daddy Kane, and somewhere I had this ideal is like you're not Big Daddy Kane, and you just need to just focus on like writing raps about yourself or what influences you, and I started trying to be complex, and I just started just writing about what's around me and what's on my mind. And I think my style improved a whole lot by just trying to be myself.
Yeah, those are big shoes to fill if you're trying to be Big Daddy Kane.
There was a lot of big shoes to
Yeah,
fill.
right.
I was like, okay, maybe I should shoot for Biz Marquee. Biz Marquee is just as entertaining as Big Daddy Kane,
Right.
but like he didn't have like the deep lyrical. But I would say Biz Marquee dropped some jewels every now and then.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but their styles were different, and
Mhm.
they both were good. So like yeah, I was like maybe I need to stop trying to be like Big Daddy Kane and just Fat Daddy Boo. Yes.
So at what point did you come up with the stage name Phat Daddy BU?
Well, my nickname has always been Boo.
Okay.
My family always called me Boo. I hear so many different names. Uh, some call me Boo, some call me Book with a K, some call me Boot with a T in there, and I hear so many different variations of the name, and I hear so many different stories of where it came from. The rest of it is just me decorating my nickname. That
Right.
Daddy, I added that.
So at what point did you cross paths with Track Lacer, and when did you guys start working together?
So I've been knowing Track Lacer for like years and years and years. Him and my younger cousin Jason went to school together, but I've been knowing that dude like almost like forever. And I'm trying to think, I was probably about 22, and this lady that I knew called me out the blue one time, and she said, "Do you still write raps?" I was like, "Yeah, sometime." And then she's like, "I know this guy that has a recording studio in his attic, and he only charges $20." I said, "$20? What does he do for $20?" She said, "He makes the beats and he records you." And I was like, "For $20?" And
Damn.
then she was like, "Yeah." So I went over there and started making songs, and eventually I started inviting my cousins over. My cousin invited his friends, and next thing you know, it turned into like a little collective. Um, yeah, at that time, I say we were putting out at least between everybody in the group and everybody who was up in that studio rapping, we were probably putting out about 25 songs a month, and we were
Damn.
like doing some really, 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 really creative music. So yeah, that's how me and Track Lacer ended up uh, forming Ghetto Centric.
Do you remember what year Ghetto Centric came out?
I would say probably the year 2000.
That sounds about right, because I think I first came across you guys in like 2001, because I believe it was Slang and I were working on a second rearranged, and
Okay.
I heard you guys and really liked it. So I got at you guys, and the next project I was working on was Kane's album. So the
Yeah.
first time I worked with you and Track Lacer was on Kane's album. I think the song was called Kicking It, but I could be wrong.
No, it was when you had everybody at the studio. It was the guys from Racine. I think it was like the posse track. And that was the first time we were at the
Oh,
studio.
okay.
Yeah. It was like 1,000 people there.
Yeah, Jesse used to hate that shit. He'd be like, "Why are you bringing all these people here, Chris? Damn."
Oh yeah, I really miss Jesse, man. I tell you.
Oh, yeah, it's too bad. So that was your first time at Band Center
Yeah, that was my
when you
very
came.
first
All right.
time at Band Center. Yes.
So I worked with you on that. And then a year later, it was myself, you, Tracklacer, Slanks and Hughes, Kane and Ted Jew formed 1848. And I really look back fondly on that project. I think it really holds up. I think it was really a strong, very strong project. I just wanted what do you remember about recording that project, how you feel about it then, and looking back on it, just kind of touch on that 1848 Forward album.
Well, the very first song that we recorded, I remember there was a track produced by Tracklacer, and it was like so much energy. That very first song that we recorded, man, that was like an amazing song there.
Mayday, right? You're talking about Mayday?
Mayday, yes,
Mayday,
Mayday.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
that
dope
was
song.
like a lot of energy there,
Yeah.
and I think the energy held up throughout the whole song, whole album,
Mm-hmm.
and even like in the recording process, it was very exciting, man. I mean, everybody had their different styles, and we all came together and made that album. I mean, it was, yeah. I think for sure, as an underground album, that album has stood the test of time.
Yeah, I agree. I went through it maybe a month ago again, and it really holds up. And it's been almost 20 years since we recorded it, 18 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that long, but yeah,
Yeah,
it feels
right.
like that long. Yes.
We all old now.
Yeah, yeah.
What's a shame is a few years later, we started recording another 1848 album. And for whatever reason, we never finished it and put it out. I was going through those songs the other day too, and there were some good ones there too. So maybe one day to finish that up.
Um, it was called. I think we
Moving
never
forward.
did agree on the name.
I think the name
Fast
of the
forward,
album, no, Moving Forward, I think.
moving forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah, moving forward fast. I couldn't remember,
Hmm.
but I did like download some of those tracks to that Piff. That was like years ago,
Right.
and other sites. So it's floating around on the internet somewhere.
Hmm.
Every now and then, when I'm like cleaning up in the basement, I'll run across the CD. So
Hmm.
like the songs are floating around somewhere.
Right, right. But like you said, each one of us had a different style, but it really merged and melded together good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like Voltron.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, pretty good to be in the studio, man, and pretty good also. Um, it was just like the whole concept of what hip hop is. Um, yeah, it was good
Exactly.
experience for me.
Yeah. So since we're on 1848, one of the members unfortunately is no longer with them, and that's with us, and that's Ted Jew. Um, am I remember it right that you met Ted Jew when you were both still kids?
Yeah, I used to live on 23rd and Hopkins, and Ted Jew's grandmother lived across the street from us. And I used to see. I don't think we played together too much. We probably played together like once or twice, a few times.
Mhm.
I would see him all the time across the street. Uh, and yeah, I knew him from 23rd and Hopkins.
So,
Oh, dude. Oh, I forgot. We
no,
also
go
went to
ahead.
the same. We went to the same high school. Also, I forgot about
For
that.
it.
Yeah, we went to the same high school. So yeah, I used to see him around, but we wasn't like really good friends or anything.
Right,
But I
right.
knew who he was. He knew who I was.
Your memories of him, one or two funny stories, or just reflecting on him, anything that sticks out to you about Ted Jew. He was an extremely unique person, but extremely, he's probably got the kindest heart out of anyone I've ever known.
Yeah, Teji was a people person. I mean, like he can make friends with almost anybody. um,
Exactly. Yeah.
what like my memory is me missing his funeral. Um, I was having like a lot of little personal issues going on with work and family and all, and I forgot that his funeral was on a Friday. I don't know how I forgot the funeral was on a Friday. I thought it was on a Saturday.
Hmm.
So I showed up at the church on a Saturday.
I remember that. I remember that now.
Showed
Yeah.
up in the church, and I had like a suit on. I had on a suit, and I had a female friend with me,
Yeah.
and she was dressed in black. And and it was just the choir singing. And I'm like, where are all the people? 'Cause I remember pulling up in a lot, and it was like 5 or 6 cars in a lot. And I was like, I know Ted, you knows more than. I was like, what's going on? Then we stepped in, and the choir stopped singing, and they was like, may we help you? I said, it's supposed to be a funeral up here. They said, that was yesterday. I said, yesterday? I was like, are you sure? He's like, look around. and man, it really like hurt my feelings, man. It's like, I was like, damn, I can't believe I missed this funeral. And
I
then
do
I
remember
remember
that.
like the day before, my phone was like ringing off the hook. I was at work and I didn't answer, and then it went to voicemail. And it was Track Lacer calling me, like, yeah, we all up at the funeral. We're about to go up to the mall. And he's telling me,
Yep.
I'm listening to the voicemail like the day after. And I'm like, damn, I missed the funeral. I couldn't believe I did that. So that was
Yeah.
like a standout memory. But yeah, after 1848, I used to have parties at the house all the time. And Teju always used to come through when I had parties, and like, yeah, he was a people person. There would be people in the house that he didn't know, and he would just be hanging out with them like he'd been knowing them forever.
Right. Yeah. People person is
Yeah,
exactly perfect way to explain them. And if you're going to bring up parties at your house, I have some great memories of parties in your basement.
yeah,
Some crazy parties, uh,
yes,
but great memories.
yes,
And your cousin, Corky, right? Cork Dog,
yeah, yes, yes.
just cracking up. So after 1848, I know you appeared on a bunch of 101st stuff, but what was your next? Do you remember what your next project was? I was trying to look back. It wasn't Ghetto Centric 2 yet, was it? Or would that be the next one?
Yeah, this was our next project. I think me and Track Lacer together, we did Track Lacer's first solo album together. It was called Capital Drive.
Yep.
Then we did Ghetto Centric 2, and I think that's about the time. No. Then we did uh, Ghetto Centric 1, and then we did Ghetto Centric 2. About Ghetto Centric 2 is when we met y'all, 1848.
Okay.
And then after that one, I can't think. I think it's when Track Lacer moved out of town, moved to Atlanta for a
Right.
while, and I had all these like old songs that I never ever released. And I was working as a boilermaker at the time, and I got laid off, and I had like free time on my hand, so I started like figuring out which songs I was gonna put on the album. And
Mhm.
then I had like went to the band center with Jesse, and I think I recorded like 4 more songs, and I put out what is the name of that album? I put out
Old School Gangster.
Old School Gangster. Yes, that was
That's
the next project.
out of all your projects, Old School Gangster is my favorite. I
Oh,
lo-
is it?
I love that album. I think that's a great album. So it's interesting you brought that up. But yeah, that's my favorite. As far as all the projects you were a part of, whether it's solo or group, which one would have been your favorite project that you put out?
So I really like being a part of uh, the whole like energy, being in the studio of recording the first 1848 album. And then on Old School Gangster is when I discovered Jesse knew how to play the piano. And I had this song, not the piano, sorry, Jesse knew how to play
I
the
was like, I
guitar.
didn't know that.
Give me, but you know what? Believe it or not,
He
he
probably
knew
could.
he probably could play the
Yeah, I
piano.
bet he
But
could. Yeah,
he knew the chords. So but he wasn't a piano player, but he probably could play the
I bet he
piano
could.
well. Because
Yeah,
his like his whole like mind for like music theory was like so advanced. His dude was like a genius.
he was.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's when I discovered Jesse knew how to play guitar. And I had this song called Black Genocide. I had this song called Black Genocide, and you know Jesse will always be strumming that guitar,
Hmm.
something just messing around between sessions, and he was trying. Sometimes he would mess around with the guitar to find a pitch for a song or something.
Right.
And yeah, and I say, you think you can play that song, playing the guitar on this song I got here? And he was like, yeah, I can. And he said, what are you trying to do here? I said, the song is just missing something, Jesse. I said, I don't know exactly what it is. And he started like sprunging things around, and I say, well, you think you can play a Jimi Hendrix lick for me on this song? And he was like, oh, Jimi Hendrix was what you want? Jimi Hendrix is what you got. And he played Jimi Hendrix on Black Genocide, and that changed the whole direction of my style. And I was like, okay, from now on, I'm going to start trying to incorporate more live instruments into our music. And like, yeah, that song Black Genocide was like one of my favorite songs on Old School Gangster.
Jesse was such a genius in the studio. Those of us lucky to spend so many hours, for years and years and years. Another person like Teju who went too soon, we lost him last year.
Yeah.
But not only a genius, just a fun person to work with. Kind of like I asked you about Teju, do you have any good memories or funny memories about Jesse? Just looking back at, how important he was to all of us and the music we made.
I like how he gave everybody a nickname. And not only did he give everyone a nickname, he remembered these names for like years and years and years and
decades.
Years.
Yeah.
He always called me Phat Daddy Boomerang.
I was Chris Bonsai.
Bonsai, yeah. And he always remember these names.
Right.
I'm like, how did this dude remember this stuff? So yeah, working with Jesse was very entertaining. And then when I was recording the Boilermaker, Jesse almost became like my artistic director. And he had like input on the album, and I respected him to a point where I started trusting his input. And
right.
it was like me working with him on the Boilermaker album was a good experience for me also.
Yeah, he really was a musical genius, and where I was lucky enough to just stumble upon him. I mean, I first met Jesse in '99 when Slang and I were working on the first Rearranged, and we had been working at a studio, another studio in Milwaukee, and we weren't happy with how it was turning out. So literally, Slang went in the phone book under recording studio.
Okay.
We come across Band Center, we walk in there. I think he might have called a couple places, and we just lucked out and got Jesse. And it's amazing how lucky we were to just stumble upon him. And he was the man behind the music for 20 years, after that day.
Yeah, and not only was he like, he had this ability to grow, because he grew over the years.
You're right.
For sure.
No doubt.
And really grew. And then he always came up with if it was a problem or something that you wanted, he always figured out a way to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had this song with a sample of the OJs. The song was called I Am. And I didn't know what to do with the chorus. I knew what I wanted to do, and I tried to like sing it myself. That didn't happen. Then I tried to bring in somebody else to sing it. That wasn't it. And I was like, Jesse, this is not it. And then I think we worked on the chorus more longer than we worked on any part of the song. Then I was like, Jesse, is it possible to take a chorus from the song and cut and paste it and put it on top of the song again and make it into like a harmony? He's like, Phat Daddy BU, you really Boomerang, Phat Daddy Boomerang, you really make me work here. You're making me work here. And he took the chorus, it was a sample, and he took the same sample and kind of cut it and staggered it, cut it and staggered it, cut it and staggered it. And it made it sound like it was almost like a harmony. And you couldn't even tell that it was like two different samples of the same song stacked on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it was like a genius.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Yes, he was.
So out of all the people that we worked with or that you worked with, who are some of your favorite people to record with, local MCs or anyone who came through, even if it was just once, or, who are your favorite people to work with?
Well, when you did those posse tracks, I always liked how the guys from Racine came through.
Yeah.
They brought in a lot of creative energy. Yeah, I always look forward to them coming through the studio. And the guys from Omaha,
Yeah.
When they came to the studio, those guys always brought a lot of creative energy into the studio. So I was like, when we were in the studio, I
Mhm.
always look forward to those Posse tracks.
Yeah, me too. I was obviously a big Posse track fan. That's why like every 101st album has a Posse track. But I was just a sucker for a good Posse track.
Yes.
But yeah, big shout out to Rhyme C and Afterlife Records from Racine, because
Yeah.
you're right. They have such good energy and they were all so talented. He was always bringing in talent. Live shows. I know I've done a bunch of shows with you, but out of all the shows you've done, what are your favorite one or two memories of doing live shows?
I remember telling Track Lacer, uh, in order for us to start expanding our audience and our fan base, we needed to step outside of Milwaukee, because at this period in Milwaukee, it were so many like underground record companies, and everybody was like
Mhm.
all in Milwaukee, and it was like a struggle to
Yeah,
get them
sure
to get
was.
on the radio, and
Yeah.
it was like I said, man, we got to find an outlet outside of Milwaukee, and I said, and that's gonna like give us access to a broader fan base. And then just out of the blue, like, bam, we connected with you. But I'm going to tell you, it was more than one show that was like, that stands out. I think our very first show that we did was at this country western bar. Kane was talking about
Kane was
this.
talking about, yeah, and I don't remember
Yeah.
that at
And,
all.
and I think that is when you and the guy, Riplack, had the little falling out, because I remember he had ripped the
Contracts?
contract, and
Yeah.
it was like on the table on the floor. I remember
Oh,
that. Yeah, that was at the Country Western Bar.
I didn't realize that was the same show.
Yeah, and I remember walking through the door, and it was like a scene from the Blues Brothers. You remember the Blues Brothers
Yeah.
when they? And I remember as we was walking in, the album was going off, and everybody in the bar like looked at us. and then I didn't move my lips, but I was talking to Track Laser. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck we got ourselves into? And I remember, and it was this guy. Is this a show that people can curse on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and I remember this guy had on this motorcycle gang vest, and he jumped up and he said, "Flying eagles like a motherfucker." And I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, "What the hell we got ourselves into?" But then I remember when we got on the stage rapping, and all these people that were like staring us down was like out there dancing, and the guy that with the motorcycle jacket on did like a little backflip. And I was like, this is like out of control. So that was like a standout show right there. Another one is when we did the live show on the Madison radio station.
Oh, that was great. Yep.
Yes, and me, Teju, and Candy got caught up in traffic. We got caught
Mhm.
up in Milwaukee traffic, and then we got caught up in the afternoon drive time traffic going through Madison. And I remember we were talking on the radio, like, and we were live on the radio, like,
Yep.
we'll be there in a minute. We'll be there in a minute.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a really hot show too when we did the live show in Madison.
I think Kane, I know, was there. I was there. I think Slang was there. And yeah, we're calling you, and then you called in because
Yeah.
they gave us, I think, a whole hour just devoted to us. I mean, I wish I had a tape of that hour, because that's pretty cool.
So how did that show come about? The Madison thing.
I hooked it up. I don't remember how I hooked it up, but
Yeah.
I spent all my time just hooking up.
Okay.
I don't remember the cowboy show, but I pretty much would, if a venue would book me, I would take it. I didn't give a fuck, because I just, as many new people could hear my music was my train of thought. I'm glad I didn't get any of you killed by a redneck or something.
Yeah, that stood out. I was like, man, this is like a scene from the Blues Brothers. Then another show that stands out is when I think the bar was called Zoo.
The Zoo, yep. That was an
Again,
1848 show. We did a big one there.
and the DJ, like that dude was like off the chain that night. I think again we were late. Me, Track Lacer, and we were riding with my guy Dez, and we were late. and then I think y'all had did a set already, and then we were gonna go on and do another set, and um, we were outside and the bar was like packed, like shoulder to shoulder packed, and the security said, "Okay, we're gonna walk y'all in," and then they walked us in like we were famous, and we got on the stage, and man, we tore the stage up.
Yeah,
That was like one of the best shows. Yes.
I remember that show. It was live. The place was just packed like sardines, and we were killing it. It really
Yeah.
was like like we took it to the next level. That
Yes.
is definitely a show that sticks out to me. That was an 1848 show, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one is Clement. The, the sound man or the DJ, he had the lights from a festival or something, and he had like the lights and concert lights, and it was like, and that was like another show that was off the chain. I can remember I used to bring like a handful of CDs. I don't know why I just didn't bring like boxes.
Right.
I could have kept the boxes in the trunk. That would have
Mhm.
probably been the best place for them. But like whenever I did shows, we always sold out of CDs. Like, man, if I had like 20, 30 CDs, I sold out of the 20, 30 CDs. And I never had the mindset of keeping the boxes in
More.
the trunk.
Especially at that time, this is before everything's downloadable and on the internet. Shows were so important because you're physically moving units, those CDs or those tapes or whatever. And, it was really important, our generation coming up. So speaking on that,
Oh, one more show.
Go ahead.
Omaha. We had went to Omaha and we did like this little bar, and it was right on like the borderline of Omaha and Iowa. And across the street was like a strip club, and one side it was a strip club, and one side was a bikini bar and whatever. I can't remember, but that was a really good show also. And then I remember the next day after that, we went to like, it was an old school they had made into a performance hall, and they had all these young rock and roll kids there, and they were all playing like live music. That was like off the chain. I was like, I cannot believe these young kids are playing music like they were like professionals. I was like blown away from that. I wonder, do they still have that little venue there?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask Surreal. He would know. I've had many good shows in Omaha. The crowd is always great. Luckily, I know people from there, so it was always easy to hook it up. Big shout out to Surreal the MC, who's been hooking me up for the last 20 years. But yeah. So let's go back to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee hip hop scene. You touched on a little bit when we were coming up, the late 90s, early 2000s. Think about the first rappers you heard like on an actual album that were from Milwaukee. Like an example would be, I think the first rapper I heard from Milwaukee as a kid was like Ice Moan or, maybe Young Twan, those type of guys. Do you remember before that scene? Because you were in Milwaukee. I wasn't at that point in, the early 90s.
First rappers that I heard, it was this group called, there was a lot of them. Oh, so there used to be this radio program on college radio station. The Milwaukee School of Engineering had a college radio station called WMSE, and they played a lot of local hip hop. So
yeah, they played Rearranged. Yeah.
there was this group called the Royal Dynasty. There was a group called there was this female rapper named Females DSC. Let me think, who else? There was this group called the 2020 Boys. There was this group called the White Boys. They were like a Milwaukee version of the Beastie Boys.
Okay.
Who else? Yeah, it was a lot of them. This group called Meaty. And I remember running home after school in middle school, and I would be able to catch the last 15 minutes of the radio program. And but the first group that really caught my attention in Milwaukee, it was this group called 16 Deep, and it was like a hardcore gangster rap group, and they were called 16 Deep. And Yeah, it was quite a few of them, man. The whole hip hop thing in Milwaukee has been going on since, I would say, since the roller skating rink called the Palace. They used to have dancers, and my cousin used to be part of this group called funk something, I can't remember. But my cousin used to be a part of this dancing group, and they used to dance. And back then they used to do these steps called drilling off of drum beats, and it would be
Right.
mostly off of Run DMC drum beats and LL Cool J. So the hip hop thing has always been in
Right.
Milwaukee. It went from b-boying to rapping, and yeah, it's always been in Milwaukee.
Hmm. And then, like you touched on before, but when we started coming up, our generation, you know, there was the scene was deep. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was pretty deep there.
it was very deep. You know, when Slang and I started really pushing Rearrange in the late '90s, I mean, there was a rapper on every corner at that point in time in Milwaukee, literally almost.
Almost every corner, selling.
Right, right. Selling
Yeah,
CDs, trying to get
yeah,
on.
yes, and the internet kind of like wiped all of that out.
Right. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
different world now. You can't even really compare it because
can't
it's a
even
completely different game. Yeah.
totally different game. Yes.
You know, you can wake up this morning and decide, I want to be a rapper. And by the end of the day, you can have your song out to tens of millions of people on the
Yeah,
internet. It's just bananas.
yes, it is.
But I'm glad you pointed out WMSC because I remember on the first Rearrange album, they used to play a couple songs off that album all the time. So, you know, even by the late '90s, they were still, you know, playing local hip hop. And then there was another local station too that I can't think of. They used to always play our Rearranged albums and interview us.
What?
It was a college radio station, and I don't remember, but you know, back then it was so important because the only way to be heard was on the radio or physically giving someone a copy of your album.
Yes. So MSOE, I think we were in this group called what was it? Spark One Riders, and we had made this little EP. And one day I just called the radio station and we're like, "How do you all select music to be played on the radio?" And he said, "What are you trying to ask here? You trying to get one of your songs on the radio?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Just bring it down and I'll play it." I was like, "For real?" So I took the CD down to this guy, and then by the time I got in my car and started up and pulling off, he was playing our song on the radio. And from then, I always like it was Barry Johnson's Saturday Afternoon Boogie Band.
Yeah, I remember. I
Always
remember.
played our music. Like even to this day, I can give this dude the song and he'll play my music.
Hmm.
And, but there was another radio program on Monday nights or Tuesday nights called the Late Night Hype Show. They would
That's what I was thinking of. I know for a fact Slang and I did a couple interviews on the Late Night Hype Show.
yeah,
That's what I couldn't think of. Yeah.
that guy would never ever play any Track Lacer at Phat Daddy
Oh
BU.
shit. They're
Never,
ahead now.
ever. But then I remember sending in a 1848 CD, and next thing you know, I hear a Slang song, Ridiculoso, on the radio. I was like, well, like shit. He's part of the group, so it's kind of like hearing one of our songs on the radio, but he would never play any of our songs.
Damn. You know, I wonder, I don't remember how we got on that. Maybe Slang knew the hookup. And that's
Okay.
how Rearranged got on there, and that's how they played his song. Maybe when you sent him 1848.
I can't remember which album, What Hip Hop Means to You. Was that on 1848?
Yep, yep.
Oh, 1848, What Hip Hop Means to You. And me and Track Lacer had this song called So Amazing. So we had sat down with Homer Blow, and he said he would play So Amazing, but he said he wouldn't play What Hip Hop Means to You because he didn't like the sound of the white guys on the song. And I was like, well, it's a hip hop song. It's a song about hip hop. And like so if the white guys are on the song, that means it's a real hip hop song. I say hip hop is a universal,
Yeah.
and I'm telling him about like how I went to the Universal Zulu Nation conference, and I met people from Sweden, I met people from Brazil, I met like people from like
Right.
all over the world, different accents, different colors. I mean, different backgrounds, poor, rich, washed up rappers, people trying to get into the game. I
Right.
mean, and then I didn't think he was going to play it. And so one day I'm listening to the radio and I hear what hip hop means to you. I said, oh, snap, he played
He
it.
played it.
So I guess I wore him down. And then the following week, he played So Amazing. Then the following week after that, he played Hip Hop Means to You. The next week, he played So Amazing. This went on for like 2 months straight, back to back, how they played our songs for 2 months straight. That was like the most radio play I ever had in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
The team was straight radio play. Yes.
You almost didn't get on the radio because of these white guys.
Oh man, I just had to plead my case and make them understand.
If you could only listen to one MC's catalog for the rest of your life, who are you going to listen to?
One MC's catalog.
Yep.
Does it have to be MC? Could it be a producer?
Sure, it can be a producer.
I would say Dr. Dre, because his catalog can take you
Huge.
so many different places.
Right.
If you got to include Ice Cube in his catalog, Kendrick Lamar, Exhibit,
Eminem,
Snoop. Like,
yeah.
I would say Dr. Dre for sure.
You know, that's a smart pick because, like you said, you got a whole bunch of albums to choose from, not just a couple.
Yes, yes. And his last album, Compton, I really like love that album. I mean, that is like one of the albums that I can listen to from start to finish and then start it all over and listen start to finish, start it all over. And it's more than the rapping. It's like the beats, and he got this one song where he has like a horn solo in the background, and you really, it's so much going on in the song, you don't realize that it's a live horn solo going on in the back of the song.
Yeah.
I thought this dude that made a jazz song, and you don't even realize it because he's killing so many people on the song.
There was so back in like the late 80s, Ruthless Records had, I can't think of the guy's name, but they put out a jazz album and it featured a song with Dr. Dre called Funky Flute.
Oh, for real?
The whole thing is a flute. He produced it, and he raps over this flute instrumental. Damn, I can't think of the guy's name.
Okay.
But it was actually put out by Ruthless Records.
All right.
And this was in the 80s. But yeah, Dr. Dre is a musical genius.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
No doubt about that.
Yes.
All right, you're getting sent to a deserted island. You can only bring 5 albums with you. What are the 5 albums you would bring in?
I would take a DOC album, DOC's first album, Dr. Dre's Compton, any album by Outkast, Old Dirty Bastard. Is that 4?
That's 4, yeah.
I got one more. I would say one of Kanye West's first albums. Either one of those very first albums. Yes.
That's not a bad selection. So now I'm going to do rapid fire. I'm going to name an MC, and you got to tell me the first thing that comes to your head, no matter if it's good, bad, whatever comes to your head first. Rakim.
Lyrical genius.
The Alcoholics.
Freestyle genius. Yes. Those guys are really good at coming off top of the head. Yes.
More people need to be up on Alcoholics. I mean,
yes.
Mad lyrical. Scarface.
Scarface. Wow. Shucks. I said lyrical genius already. I would say gangster rap genius, but it was even more than a little bit more than the gangster rap genius. His production style, he kind of like grew, kind of reminds me of Jesse, how he grew over time. I remember this one album, I can't remember. It was like, what was it called? But that's when they first started like using digital mastering. and I'm listening to this Scarface album. And I was like, it sounds funny. And I was like, then I'm like messing with the stereo system, trying to figure out like what's going on. Then I'm like reading the back of the album cover, and it said something about digital mastering. And I said, oh, okay, because it sounds funny. And yeah, that was like one of the first like albums with like a perfect sound that I ever heard. And I can't remember the name of the album right now.
That crisp, digital
Yeah,
sound.
crisp digital sound, yes.
And another thing that he probably doesn't get enough credit for, when people talk about the best storytellers, the Slick Ricks and the
Oh, yeah.
Cubes, he's a great storyteller. I mean, he can paint a picture.
Okay, yeah, and then
Yeah.
okay, here's another thing about Scarface. I should have said a G to a key. There's this group from Milwaukee
Oh
called a G
yeah,
to
I
a
remember
key,
them. Yeah, yeah.
and when Scarface got a record label, a G to a key was the first group that he released on his record label.
Yeah, I remember them. I think I can picture that cover. It kind of was a kind of the same styles like the old No Limit, like the
Yeah,
pen and pixel
yeah,
kind.
and it's
Yeah,
so yes,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's it.
Ted Jew.
Teju, oh man, gone too fast, too young. Um, yeah, hearing about that guy passing was like a shock, and it was like, nah, not Teju, because he was so
Right,
full of life, and it was
right.
like really hard to believe that he was gone. Yes,
It's been 7 years almost since he passed, and I still I think about him all the time. It's amazing how much he impacted my life.
yes.
JJ Fad.
JJ Fad, um, uh, Easy E. I mean, a guy was Easy E, and then the song was produced by Arabian Prince. But
Supersonic.
I think that was like his first pop hit. Was that it?
It was
Yeah,
actually, if I remember correctly, he used the money from the Supersonic album doing good to
uh,
bankroll the NWA's first Straight Outta Compton album.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I believe that's how it went. I could be wrong, but if I'm remembering the story right, I know for sure that Supersonic by JJ Fad was Ruthless's first big hit.
So I like the part when she was doing a little fast rhyme cadence,
Mhm. Yeah,
and at first I thought she was rapping real fast, and I was like putting my ear to the speaker trying to figure out like what was she saying there. She's not even saying nothing.
she just she tricked you.
Yeah,
Outcast.
Outkast. Oh, they're alternative hip hop, but it is amazing how alternative they are, and they still have so many like commercial pop songs. Yeah, but they're very creative, extremely creative.
Yeah, the root.
One of my favorite groups of all times.
The Roots.
Very creative, extremely creative. I think Black Thought is underrated. Uh, they never was like given credit for the whole neo soul movement.
Mhm.
Like majority of the more popular neo soul singers always had a connection with the roots. Erica Badu, Jill Scott. I'm trying to think who else. Common. I think Chico DeBarge even had like an album produced by in the studio in
Mhm.
Philadelphia. So like yeah, they were never given credit for the neo soul movement.
Another thing is, unless you really look back, I think a lot of people don't realize how big their catalog is.
Oh yeah,
They put out a lot of quality music, throughout the years.
yes they have.
Slangston Hughes.
Langston Hughes, man, that guy is incredible. Um, Ridiculoso is like one of my favorite songs in the whole wide world, and I don't know like where he got that sample, but the way he like chopped it up, that is like genius there. That is
Mhm.
like one of my favorite songs there.
I was always honored that he would even form a group with me. So I always
Oh,
wanted to make sure I was, up to snuff, up to par, because especially those early days of Rearrange when we're going and doing shows. I mean, I was already the white dude that people were pointing at, so I didn't want to be whacked.
Okay. Yeah. His production style
Yeah.
is like is different. I mean, I like that it's different, and then his lyrics are like always on point. In fact,
Always.
he helped me write this song, Crunctified. I had brain, I'm getting older, and the lyrics don't flow like they used to.
Yeah.
And he helped me write the second verse to Crunctified. And like, yeah, he's a really good writer, really good artist,
Yeah.
great artist.
Great artist. Ghostface Killer.
Ghostface Killer. That dude like puts out so many like albums, and I hear that he's going to let Kanye West produce his next album. I'm like really looking forward to hearing that. Yes, it's his swag, his style, and it's more than just the music. I think it's like you can hear like the passion in his voice when he like raps. So yeah, yeah, he's one of my favorite performing artists as well.
Spice One.
Spice One. He was very different when he first came out, man. Like he was like one of the like first like popular gangster rappers, and then it's kind of like everybody started like biting the style
Mhm.
and made kind of made the dude irrelevant, kind of similar to Dot's Effects. Everybody started
You're
biting
right.
Dot's Effects style and made them irrelevant.
Mhm.
But I really like love Spice One, like his first two albums. So it was like
Oh yeah.
they're really nice there.
Yeah, that debut one, the self-titled Spice One with the black cover, that's a
Yeah.
really dope album. But so is 187 he wrote. Trying to think what's after that. America's Nightmare. Those early albums are dope, no doubt.
Oh, he did a album with some with a producer from Memphis. I can't remember the guy's name, but that was a really good album
Mhm.
also. Yes.
E40.
E40, a businessman. I mean, like his whole like business model and how he's independent and he's able to still make relevant music and still make money is like something that like blows my mind. The guy is really amazing.
Mhm. Track Lacer.
Track Laser, my best friend. Yes.
Guru from Gangstar.
Oh man, I used to love Gangstar back in the days, and I used to love his like his little monotone,
Mhm.
and he always kept his rhymes simple, and it wasn't forced, but at the same time they were like on point. So I mean, I don't know like what it was about Guru that made me like this dude so much. I can't remember the name of the album, and he had this song with J. Rue, Damager,
Mhm.
and Little Dap, and I think the song was called "I'm the Man." But I used to play that song over and over and over and over and over again. I love that song.
I think that's on the Hard to Earn album.
Hard to Earn,
Yeah.
okay. And then um, he had this other song that I really loved, Mass Appeal. And then
That
he said the song about man, gosh, I can't even. And he was talking about redemption and I think the story behind the song is he got robbed and pistol whipped, and after that he made this song, and I can't remember the name of the song, but it's like one of my favorite songs by a Gangstar.
yeah, you mentioned Mass Appeal. That is my favorite Gangstar album. I mean song, hands
Yeah.
down. I love it. I love that beat. Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Bone Thugs and Harmony. It is like so funny how all these rappers nowadays all sound like Bone Thugs and Harmony on auto tunes. They were ahead of their time.
Way ahead of their time. Yeah.
Way ahead of their time. Yeah, I used to love Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Mystical.
Mystical. He had this song. So he was a Southern rapper, but he kind of had like a kind of East Coast feel a little bit.
Right.
So he had like some lyrics like he was from the East Coast, but he still had this like Southern delivery. So like, yeah, he's always been one of my favorite artists also.
And lastly, Eminem.
Eminem, for sure, like one of like the greatest rappers of all times. this dude can make 2 words that don't even rhyme, like rhyme. I
Right.
can't. I have to listen to some of his songs. I said, did that dude just make those words rhyme? That's all right. Then you listen to it again. I say, but he pulled it off. So yeah, he's one of like the greatest rappers of all time.
I agree. Lyrically, I mean, you can listen to it 10 times and you catch something different every time.
Every time. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yes, he is.
So, do you have any new projects you're working on? Anything new coming out? The latest one was Boilermaker, correct?
Yes, yes. So the Boilermaker is out, Spotify, um, YouTube, all of the people out there in digital world, take a listen. Um, Old School Gangster is all out on the internet as well. And right now trying I'm trying to work on another album called The Boilermaker 2.
Okay.
And the theme of the song, the kind of music genre that I'm trying to go with on this album is called trap rock and roll. It's a lot of like guitar. Jesse has me hooked on the guitar, and I think that is probably one of the biggest problems why I'm like having trouble getting things rolling. Missing Jesse here is
Right.
it's not moving the way I wanted to move, and Jesse was a key part of that. So like right now, my goal is to do like make like a mixtape and call it the Boilermaker 2.
Okay.
And I'm gonna like incorporate rappers, singers, writers, producers, and try to come up with a process where I can release like 3 or 4 mixtapes a year by using a group of talented people. And someone will write, someone will rap, someone will sing, and the goal is just to make a decent album.
Oh, that's great. I love to hear that.
Yes.
I was always big into, getting people together to create. I was
Yeah.
always trying to reach out to people and get people. So I love hearing something like that.
Yes.
So I look
So
forward to what you're putting out.
yeah, it's always for me the excitement is being in the studio and listening to other people's songs and listen to their ideas and their creative input and trying to figure out how to mesh all this together where it's a good song, but everybody has their influence and input.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
my goal. Yes.
Do you have anything else to plug where people can get at you?
Well, I'm all over the internet. Just Google me. Phat Daddy BU, Phat, Phat Daddy, Daddy, Boo, BU. Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and probably any other place there is out there in the world. But yeah, so my goal again, my other goal is to start making music that's more geared towards a working class genre. I think, I mean, I have nothing against like hardcore hip hop. I mean, I love hardcore hip hop, but everybody is doing hardcore hip hop. Everybody is a drug dealer. Everybody is a shooter. Everybody is a drug addict. I mean,
Yeah,
at what point in hip hop did it become the thing to be a drug addict?
yeah, that's
Who's
crazy when you
a
think
drug
about
addict?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so my goal is to make hardcore hip hop music that goes beyond the stereotypes of commercial radio.
Kind
Yeah,
of like a blue collar hip hop.
blue collar hip hop. That's
Yeah.
right.
No, I like that because you're right. There's too many songs about money, women, and rims, and
Yes,
and busting shots. And
yes, yes.
well, like I said at the beginning, I consider you one of my hip hop brothers. We did so much together. It was always an honor to work with you. I can't wait to hear what you got coming out next. I'll definitely keep my ear to that. I appreciate you hopping on. If there's anything else you want to say, I'll give you the platform. Otherwise, we just hit the hour mark. So it's up to you, but
Oh, okay. I appreciate you having me on tonight, and it's always good to talk to you.
absolutely.
And oh yeah, and your daughter is doing big things overseas.
She sure is. Yeah,
So amazing how time really flies.
it's crazy. She's 22 years old.
Okay, she's making you a proud papa, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
We
All
all
right.
getting old. I
Yeah.
was just telling Kane the other day, we got to make a song called Middle-Aged MCs because we're all in our 40s now.
I hear you. Again, thank you for having me on, and you enjoy your night.
All right, man.
All right. Peace.
Stay up. Peace.
Yeah, my Uncle Zach always said, I like the way you spit. I like the things that you do on them rap songs. I was like, I appreciate that, Uncle Zach. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here trying to front. I say, to some level degree, when I'm spitting these lyrics, yeah, it's a little exaggeration. But for the core, at the bottom of it, from the inside, I'm always being true to myself. You understand? You might slow me down, but I'll be damned if you stop me. Fresh out the penalty box, back in the game like hockey. It's like I'm on ice skates, the way I move at ease. A soldier strategy is to catch a crew at ease. Hands off your cocks, put on your socks, grab your stock. Prepare to go to war with a soldier who's gonna make the whole world rock. Like Jimi Hendrix, predicting purple haze in the sky. Neutralize your defenses like AIDS when you die. Is it social engineering? Does Illuminati have the cure? What's the difference? This plague you wanna do 'em. You will be a victim of the plague you created. Karma is a boomerang that brings back hatred. Genocide is a road traveled by millions of thugs. We all crabs in a bucket, but where is the love? You said you got a Ruger, yeah, I got one too. You're here to show off, and I'm here to shoot. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Love is a divine order. God made supreme. It was lust for money that caused conflict within your team. Images on the TV screen. Controls our dreams. When I was 13, I was a fiend for material things. Despite my lack of means, I had to have it. Then I had a revelation to become a maverick. Now I'm an outcast. I outlast trends and fads. I don't ride the bandwagon like females and fags. The road to rags to riches is a lifelong journey. You fly by dudes, but to get an attorney. Your whole style is sex, money, weed and hash. You want a career in rap? You better learn to seize the jazz. Start with a grain of sand and build a brick wall. Follow the protocol. Don't walk before you crawl. All in all, don't rush it. The world is yours. Reach out and touch it. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Work hard as hell, and I'm wondering what for. These neighborhood thugs have kicked in my back door. They took every gadget they can run with quick. Call the FBI, rope off the scene, dust for fingerprints. There's a war in Afghanistan, a war against the Taliban, and there seems to be a war against the average everyday man. No one has no regard for the things I work hard for. I'm a taxpayer, but I feel like a scarred poor. Someone's gonna go to hell, someone's gonna go to jail. If I can't have justice, then revenge will prevail. The court seems to fail when it comes to working class folks, but they quick to throw me in jail if I let this pistol smoke. Genocide is a road traveled by millions of thugs. We all crabs in a bucket, but where is the love? You say you got a Ruger, yeah, I got one too. You're here to show off, and I'm here to shoot. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. Boom, 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 boom. Gag, 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 gag. M.O.B. You dig?